Welcome everybody. My name is Izabela DZIADUCH. I am assistant professor in Department of Logistics at Wrocław University of Economics and Business. Today I am going to talk about exploratory factor analysis of service quality determinants, a case study of urban public transport in Wrocław, Poland. The presentation is divided into 5 main sections: research aim, research object, research tool, research sample, and results of the study. The quality of public transport services is a multidimensional construct shaped by a variety of observable primary variables. Therefore, I decided to apply exploratory factor analysis to identify the latent factors that determine the quality of public transport services. As no previous studies had been conducted in this area for Wrocław, the scope of the research was limited to MPK SPZOO Municipal Transport Company, headquartered in Wrocław, which operates the majority of bus routes and all tram lines in the Wrocław metropolitan area. By the way, Wrocław is the third biggest city in Poland in terms of number of inhabitants and is the most congested city in Poland. The research tool was a bespoke survey questionnaire. The survey was conducted using the computer-assisted web interview method. In addition to an introduction and demographic questions, respondents were asked to assess of 14 characteristics describing the perceived quality of services. Respondents rated the quality of Wrocław public transport services in terms of spatial accessibility, frequency of connections, regularity of departures, directness of travel, speed of travel, punctuality of departures, reliability of travel, time of travel, safety while waiting at the bus stop and during transit, accessibility of information, travel cost, travel comfort, travel integration, and investment cost. The extent to which the service quality defining features were met was evaluated using a 5-point Likert scale, where 1 corresponded to a very low level of fulfillment, 2 to a low level, 3 to a moderate level, 4 to a high level, and 5 to a very high level. A total of 500 respondents participate in the survey on the quality of public transport services in Wrocław. This sample size ensures a 95% confidence level with a margin of error of plus minus 5%. Each mode of public transport, buses and trams, was evaluated by 250 participants. A quota-based purposive sampling method was employed, with the random selection of panel participants who met 2 criteria. The respondent had to be a resident of Wrocław and must have used public transport in Wrocław at least once since the beginning of 2022. Before conducting the factor analysis, the data were assessed for suitability. A correlation matrix was generated for the original variables and two standard statistical tests were applied: Barrett's test of sphericity and the Kaiser-Meyer-Okin measure of sampling adequacy. The correlation analysis revealed that while some variables were strongly interrelated, others displayed relatively low levels of linear correlation. Nonetheless, as most relationships were statistically significant at alpha equals 0.05, the application of factor analysis was deemed appropriate. This was also confirmed by KMO value and the result of Barrett's test. In the first stage of the exploratory factor analysis, the number of latent factors was determined. To determine the number of factors, principal component analysis was employed, as it enables the extraction of components that account for the greatest proportion of variance in the original variables. Based on the Kaiser criterion, which retains components with eigenvalues greater than 1, two factors were extracted. Collectively, these factors account for 51.23% of the variance in the original variables. The remaining dimensions are the limited significance, as their eigenvalues fall below 1 and none explain more than 7% of the overall variance. To align the factor structure with the observed variables, a Varimax normalized orthogonal rotation was applied. Each quality attribute was assigned to a factor based on its factor loading, with a threshold of 0.6 as the minimum value for inclusion. As a result, all 14 quality attributes were grouped under one of the two extracted factors. The first factor showed the strongest correlation with 12 variables: spatial accessibility, frequency of connections, regularity of departures, directness of the journey, speed, punctuality, journey reliability, travel time, safety while waiting at the stop and in transit, availability of information, travel comfort, and integration of schedules and tariffs across the different lines on shared roads. This factor accounts for about 43.35% of the total variance and captures how efficiently users are able to reach their destinations in terms of time. The second factor is most strongly correlated with two variables: travel cost and investment cost. It accounts for 7.89% of the variance and reflects the economic accessibility of different stakeholder groups. The next stage of the research will involve confirmatory factor analysis to evaluate how well the identified service quality attributes fit with the latent factors. A structural model of service quality will also be developed to identify cause and effects links between perceived quality and the latent variables. Thank you for your attention.